Alliance Radio Network.
Thank you, Mitch. We're up in Duluth today. It's beautiful up here.
Excellent, and it's gotta be exciting up in Duluth. I mean, I've heard nothing but good news about the GOP's chances in general up in the Iron Range here. The idea that Mike McFadden was polling spectacularly better than Al Franken on the Iron Range, that's the sort of stuff that would have set off tremors in seismology labs at various points in our history.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, particularly the mining issue, but also when you talk about the Second Amendment up here, when you talk about some of the extreme environmentalism and couple that with the mining, there's a lot of people who have traditionally voted DFL that are giving us very much a second look.
Yep, and there's a lot of people up there who, between the Second Amendment issues, the life issues, the mining issues, the perpetually sagging economy up on the Iron Range, they're having stress-related ailments. They're needing to seek medical attention, and whoa, comes through the news this week that 2/3 of Minnesota's MNsure coverage is going to be departing the exchange here, and everyone's got to go back to square one. And square one wasn't that fun to begin with, Jeff Johnson. When did you hear?
No.
Yeah, when did you hear that Preferred One was fixing to bail MNsure?
Well, the practical effect of this is that about 30,000 Minnesotans who have gone through an absolute nightmare of getting insurance on MNsure are now going to have to go through it again.
Yep.
And once they get through that nightmare, they're going to have premiums that are significantly higher than what they just lost. And it is what this shows, Preferred One backing out because they had by far the lowest rates, and because of that, the most customers. What it shows is that this political talking point that we had the lowest rates in the country was never real. It was just a house of cards. It was bogus. And we had a press conference, Michelle Benson and I did yesterday, calling on the legislative auditor to take a look at that and see whether there was some pressure by the administration put on Preferred One to set their rates at a place so low that they knew that the market would not sustain it.
And bear in mind, these putatively low rates, which, by the way, the chanting point from the left was Preferred One tried to lowball the process. I've had Preferred One in the past. They're a relatively reasonably priced, they were in the past, a relatively reasonably priced set of plans on the free market. What they did was raise their rates to cover all of the mandated services, but still try to provide the best value to draw the most people in on the exchanges. And it bit them. It bit them in the butts, Jeff Johnson.
Right. It is. And, you know, the response I saw of Governor Dayton last night on Almanac was, well, these Republicans don't understand the free market. This is how the free market works. It just makes me choke.
Yeah.
This isn't a free market. It's a government-run exchange where a government bureaucracy gets to tell insurance companies which policies get to be in and which don't. And that it's nothing like a free market whatsoever, and this administration just doesn't get that at all. It's breathtaking.
I've worked in the health insurance industry on the IT side, but I've seen how it works on the policy processing side. I love this quote from the Examiner this past week. Quote, the company also says MNsure was unable to effectively verify information submitted by enrollees, but insurance companies are still required to accept and enroll them. As a result, the company ended up with enrollees who don't even live in Minnesota in some cases. This is from Gary Gross up in St. Cloud, by the way, on the Examiner. And this is, when they try, I've seen Democrats try to blame this on the free market. And the response is, in the free market, insurance companies know how to enroll people and check them for eligibility. We haven't even figured that out in MNsure.
No, we haven't. And this is, Mark Dayton desperately wanted to be the first governor to implement Obamacare in the United States. Yep. And I don't think he got to be first. He was second or third. This is his hand-picked board. It was, and now still is, his hand-picked staff. And he and the DFL got every single provision in here that they wanted because they ignored the literally hundreds of Republican suggestions of how to make this thing work a little bit better. So this is his baby. This is his signature achievement as governor, and he's just, the leadership isn't there. He doesn't have any interest in trying to change it or fix it. Now, I don't happen to believe we can actually fix MNsure because of the bigger philosophy of government-run insurance. But until Obamacare changes, we're still going to have some sort of exchange, either in this state or the federal exchange. So let's at least see if this something we can do to make it a little more friendly to to consumers. And there are lots of things we can do, but they refuse to do them. They don't even recognize that there's a problem.
In fact, it would have to be a political nightmare for them to even confront the idea that they have a problem with this at this point as we home in on another open enrollment season that promises to be another disaster. I love this one here. Conservative commentator Ted Nugent said, quote, and this is in the Examiner, Gary Gross's piece, one of the big landmines looking out over the campaign will be when MNsure announces its new rates for health insurance premiums, said Ted Nugent. If those go up by 10%, some have even suggested 15%. That could really shake up this election. Oh, I lied. That was Democrat-leaning commentator Larry Jacobs at the U of M, not Ted Nugent.
But that's right. Well, and what is amazing to me is the incompetence and mismanagement here, and that starts at the top. The MNsure board, which again was handpicked by the governor, met the day after, or it might have been 2 days after this news. I mean, this was a bomb that dropped on consumers. And they didn't talk about this. They did not talk about this issue in their agenda. They said it was just too heavy an agenda, except at the beginning when the chair kind of rolled his eyes and said, oh, people are making a big deal out of this. This is a hiccup. He called it a hiccup. It's not a hiccup when 30,000 Minnesotans are going to have to go through this same hell again and see their insurance rates absolutely skyrocket. They don't get it.
15% increases across. I mean, if Larry Jacobs is saying 10 to 15%, I got to figure 15% for percent is the very bottom. And this,
right.
Governor Dayton, yet again, I mean, what I love is there was a quote that happened in MNsure probably about a year ago during the first round of open enrollment where he apologized for the first round of problems that Minnesotans had. And he said, I quote, I apologize to those Minnesotans who have been seriously inconvenienced or distraught by the failures of MNsure. It's unacceptable, he said. Did I cause it? I don't know that anybody cared. No. But I don't think I caused the problems at MNsure. I did everything I could to prevent them. Ultimately, the buck stops here. I'm just wondering, when do bucks absolutely start stopping with the governor? I mean, this is the second go-around of catastrophic problems, and this is bigger than the first. And that, by the way, that quote is from last December. So the buck has not stopped yet for the Viking Stadium fiasco, the minimum wage fiasco on which he flip-flopped, the entire budget session where he was basically a mouthpiece for the Public Employees Union, and now the continued disintegration. Jeff Johnson, what are you hearing on the campaign trail for people? Is this getting through to people out there?
It is. I really believe it is, and I think you can set aside partisanship, Democrat versus Republican. There's a real interest, I think, in Minnesotans in having a governor who is engaged and is competent and involved and knows what's going on. And I think that it's just a fundamental difference between Mark Dayton and me. The quote that you read came, a few weeks after he said that MNsure was working phenomenally well.
Yes.
And he, did an about face. But the difference is, I mean, if this were going on in my administration, I wouldn't sleep at night. I'd be in that MNsure office and forcing every staff member to be up 24 hours a day until we got this thing fixed for people. And they haven't. It is one disaster after another. Every month or so, we learn something new. 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, it was that life events weren't getting covered. People were having babies, and they were having to wait 3 months to have their babies covered. Something that you could do with a phone call in 24 hours before MNsure. So it is. Yeah, I think that will be a fundamental difference, and I think people are starting to see that. As I talk to not just Republicans, but independents and others around the state, they're starting to question whether this governor is up to the job, and I don't think he is.
No, I think that, in fact, the conspiracy theorists out there say that he may not last 2 more years, and really Tina Flint-Smith may wind up finishing out this term. We'll talk about that later. We're talking with Jeff Johnson, by the way, GOP candidate for governor of Minnesota, 651-289-4488 if you have questions. Let's go to the phones real quick before the break. In St. Paul, Vincent, you're on the air with Jeff Johnson. Go right ahead.
Well, thank you. On Monday, next week, the Legislative Healthcare Workforce Commission is having a meeting there. I don't know exactly what time. Senator Benson, Kiffmeyer, and Representative Mack and Schumacher are on Republicans on it. Would that be something that you could attend, so you could see what the recommendations are going to be for the next year's legislature?
Question for Jeff Johnson.
Yep, I probably won't be able to attend it because we're all over the place. But Michelle Benson is actually the co-chair of my campaign and has been integral in talking about this issue. I mean, she's one of the experts in the state of Minnesota on MNsure, and so she will fill me in immediately as to what happens there. And is that the same as the oversight board over MNsure? I'm not sure what the official title is, but if that's the same thing, keep in mind that Governor Dayton called this bipartisan oversight commission a farce because he didn't want them involved. He wanted just his hand-picked board to make all the decisions, and he has succeeded at that. And the results haven't been very promising.
The oversight panel, or as I've christened it, the death panel. Hey, Jeff Johnson, can we keep you for one more segment here? We got some other questions about absolutely. Talk with Jeff Johnson if you have a question. 651-289-4488. Join us, won't you please, on the Northern Alliance AM1280 The Patriot. Go nowhere. We'll be right back.
Love drama? Follow your heart.
Ladies and gentlemen, please direct your attention to the Jumbotron.
Susan, will you marry me?
Gonna have to say no, Steve-O.
Hate drama? Go to Cars.com. Our expert and consumer reviews give you all the unbiased info you need to shop savvy.
I'm gonna get a beer. Do you want one?
Research, price, find. Only Cars.com helps you get the right car without all the drama. Cars.com. All drive, no drama.
My name is David, and I'm a graduate of Online Trading Academy. if you would have told me a year and a half ago that I was going to be trading options, I would have told you were crazy. I had a job. I'm going to call it cube hell. Well, that's one reason why I also decided to take classes from online trading academies. I thought this was my way to get out of the job. I hate it. You can take a course, you can take it as many times as you want for free. They really do care about you. Now I've been trading full time, and I'm able to maintain my lifestyle. I took a proactive investor class also through Online Trading Academy, and I'm not paying anybody to manage my account. I'm managing my own account, and I'm doing well at it. If you're on the fence and you're deciding whether or not to do it, I encourage them to come in, just meet with them and talk to them, and find out if it is really right for you.
Come to a free, no-obligation workshop Wednesday, September 3rd at 10 a.m. or Saturday, September 6th at 9 a.m. To register, call 952-814-4419 or log on to OTAMINN.com.
Back to doing what I love and more.
When you're in pain, you need the Good Feet store. Don't suffer from foot pain, sore ankles, tired legs, achy back and hips, or sore knees. Go to the Good Feet store for your no-obligation custom fitting and immediately feel the difference.
That nagging pain in my lower back, gone instantly thanks to the Good Feet supports.
The Good Feet arch support system is designed to put your feet in an ideal position, redistribute body weight more evenly, and help relieve pain and stress.
I tried the Good Feet arch support system, and my hip pain is gone, went away.
Now 2 locations, Maple Grove and Bloomington, with over 350 styles and sizes to relieve your pain.
I could never do a knee bend. Now I can do a knee bend. I'm working out, and it's just wonderful.
Call Good Feet at 855-554-3338. That's 855-554-3338. Or better yet, visit the Good Feet store in Maple Grove and Bloomington. Step in to pain relief.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
Summer's a great time for outdoor celebrations. Parties on the patio, family gatherings at the backyard pool, or maybe it's just everyday things like the kids playing basketball on the driveway. Don't let subtle concrete trip you up. Hi, this is John Lamore of Advanced Sandjacking, with a quick, inexpensive solution to raise your subtle driveway, patio, or pool deck without any downtime. That's right, at Advanced Sandjacking, we can raise and re-level your patio in the morning, and you can host a patio party the very same day. And in addition to our patented technology used for sandjacking, we can also lift concrete, stabilize soils, and fill voids beneath the concrete with polyurethane foam. Ask us which is the best solution for you. Don't let a serious fall put a damper on your summertime celebrations. Call Advanced Sandjacking today for a free estimate.
Call Advanced Sandjacking at 952-562-8100 or go to advancedsandjacking.com.
City Zen World. Northern Alliance Radio Network, 651-289-4488, the number to call. We're talking with GOP gubernatorial candidate Jeff Johnson, live from the campaign trail in Duluth. We're going to go back to the phones right now, then we're going to go back to Jeff Johnson with some questions about the campaign as well as the Preferred One debacle, where this past week, 2 out of 3, almost 2 out of 3, certainly 3 out of 5 people covered under MNsure are going to have to go back to the drawing board, and the drawing board really, really stinks with MNsure. That's the thing. And by the way, that's one that we discovered over the past few months here, Jeff Johnson. They're no close to getting it fixed now than they were a year ago.
No, they are not. And, I've been saying on the campaign trail for some time now that they're going to fix the website. It's more the bigger philosophy that's the problem. I'm not sure I believe that anymore. I don't know that they're capable of even fixing the website.
Having worked in the IT business, I will tell you this much. When the management says, we're going to bring in a new consulting company, oh, yeah, that always works. No, it never, ever works, Jeff Johnson. It's a sign that you're spinning here. You basically, your project is a chicken with its head cut off, and it's just running around on reflex, going wherever its nerves take it. 651-289-4488. In Maple Grove, Bill, you're live with Jeff Johnson on the Northern Alliance. Bill. We are working on getting Bill on the phone here. Let's try it one more time here. You get Bill on the line here one more time. Bill, you're on with Jeff Johnson.
Hello.
Yes, you are on the air.
All right, thanks. Yeah, it looks to me like this is possibly a bait and switch by Preferred One, and I wondered if Jeff Johnson has looked into that at all.
Jeff, did Preferred One serve as a loss leader for MNsure?
I don't know. I don't have any evidence to say that was the case. But as I mentioned yesterday in the press conference when we called for an investigation of this, the whole thing does seem a little fishy when they are doing so much better than all the other providers, and Dayton is able to use that for over the course of a year to say, look at how much better we are than the rest of the country. And then just out of the blue, they pull out and say, well, this wasn't even close. We're losing our shorts. It does make you question what happened, and I would love to have somebody dig into that a little bit further.
First, for it to be a bait and switch, someone would have to put Preferred One and Preferred One only up to say, okay, we're going to sell low to suck people into the system here and then leave them high and dry. I don't know what Preferred One's interest in there would be unless someone left them a big bag full of 50s somewhere out in their corporate parking lot from the state of Minnesota. It seems a little bit of a stretch. What I do think is the Preferred One did, as the smallest of the providers, did try to reel in some market share, did it at a price that was high by free market standards but low by exchange standards, and then got in there and found out, whoa, we can't get people enrolled, or we're going to be enrolling people who don't qualify, or we're calling people low risk and low cost who really aren't. And that's the other angle to this thing, Jeff Johnson, that I don't think people even realize. The people who qualified for the relatively low-cost Preferred One plans are the relatively healthy ones that the system needs to get money from to pay for the high-risk people.
No, that's exactly right. I mean, that's just kind of the basics of an exchange. If you actually want it to work, you need healthy people in there, too. And there, even before this, the healthy people weren't in there at nearly the numbers that we need to sustain it. And this is just as I said before, this is kind of a bomb that's being dropped. And we will see some of that reflected probably in October when we see the new rates come out. But this is a longer-term problem for those on MNsure and for the Dayton administration.
Speaking of numbers, I just want to talk briefly about the polls that came out this past month. I've been a long-time critic of the Minnesota poll, and even a longer-term critic of the way the Minnesota media presents polls, as if a Democratic victory is inevitable, which I think does qualify as bandwagoning, trying to keep independent voters and people who aren't base on either side from really caring enough to come out here. What we saw in this last poll, however, is that roughly 30% of the people in the poll actually know who you are and have an opinion about you. And in the meantime, Mark Dayton's job performance belies this 10-point lead pretty badly. Where do you think you're sitting in terms of the actual run for the last sprint here in terms of the numbers, Jeff Johnson?
We actually feel pretty good. We've seen 5 polls in the past 2.5 weeks. The Star Tribune was the last of them. 3 of the other 4 were national organizations, including the New York Times and KSDP Survey USA did one, and Rasmussen did another one, and then a local company did. I met 7 in 2 of them. I met 8 back in 1, 9 back in 1, and then, of course, the Star Tribune, which always tends to be an outlier, we know that, had me down by 12. So even if you include the Strib, and you average all those out, I'm down by probably around 8. I wouldn't be surprised by that at all, and actually that doesn't bother me because I have not spent a penny yet to get up on TV, and as everyone listening knows, we've had plenty of anti-Jeff Johnson ads, probably a little over $500,000 worth in the last 3 weeks. So some of that name recognition is not positive name recognition, and everything changes once you get up on the air, which we will be doing this coming week, and we'll be doing that pretty strong the rest of the way to start sharing my message. If you look back at where Republican, or maybe not Republican, but the lesser-known candidates have been just after Labor Day, 8 points is actually pretty good. Emmer after Labor Day was down 15 and lost by less than half a percentage point. And 4 years before that, when Pawlenty was the incumbent, right after Labor Day, he was up by 14 and, of course, won by less than a percentage point. So there's no question that this will narrow. I think it'll narrow relatively quickly after I get up on television, and I think it's going to be a close race.
Yeah, and by the way, if you could possibly get Preferred One to send out some campaign literature with the cancellation notices, that'll probably get you some name recognition and some extra votes on the board here. I don't suppose Preferred One would do that, but a guy can dream.
Yeah, that's right. Well, the other thing, that even in looking at the Star Tribune poll, what was shocking to us was that Mark Dayton had 100% name recognition in that poll, and he was at 45% with 20% undecided. So it means that everybody knows who he is, but he can't get to a number to help him win, and all of these undecided people know of him, and they're open to someone else. They just don't know enough about me yet to be certain whether they want to vote for me. And once I can share that message, I think we'll likely get the vast majority of those people because they're interested in a different alternative to Dayton.
Absolutely. Well, we want to make sure that the audience here knows who you are and defies the bandwagon. So with about 20 seconds to go, Jeff Johnson, where can people find more about your campaign?
JohnsonForGovernor.org online, and there's a volunteer button there. I think there's a button just to get our updates, but obviously we got 45 days left, so it's going to be here before we know it, and anybody who has an interest in helping us out, this is very much a grassroots campaign, and we would love your help.
Absolutely. The plutocrats are not turning up for you here. They seem to be on the other side. Jeff Johnson, I will be turning up at least one victory center here over the next couple of weeks. I hope everyone in the audience does the same. We'll have to talk again before the election. Jeff Johnson, thank you for stopping on with us today. Absolutely. Northern Alliance Radio Network, AM1280, The Patriot. More on the bandwagon, on the polls, and much, much more when we come back on the Northern Alliance Radio Network, AM1280, The Patriot. Go nowhere. The fun.
What are you spending on TV a month? $40?